All right, today we're peeling back the layers of an absolute cinematic masterpiece, Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. We're going to really dig in and try to understand what makes it such a timeless and, honestly, such a haunting tragedy.
Okay, so let's dive right in with a really important idea here. The Godfather. It's just not a story about crime. I mean, not really. At its very core, it's all about the inescapable prison of legacy. You know, a family.
And you know what? That's so true. Coppola took Mario Puzo's novel and just elevated it. He turned it into this grand, tragic opera. It's this deep, profound exploration of how that relentless chase for power and prosperity, well, how it can just completely devour a person's soul.
All right, let's kick things off with the film's foundational theme. It's this incredibly powerful commentary on the promise and, of course, the peril of the American dream.
And this right here, this is really the key to understanding the whole Corleone family's journey. The movie basically frames their entire pursuit of power and trying to fit in as this kind of bargain. You know, a deal where every single step they take towards success and safety comes at the direct cost of their own humanity.
And this just perfectly captures the central paradox of what family even means in this film. I mean, think about it. On one hand, it's their sanctuary, right? It's a fortress against a hostile world. But on the flip side, it's a prison. It demands this absolute, unquestioning loyalty, and it traps every single person in this brutal, never-ending cycle of violence. It really is both a shield and a cage.
Okay, so this whole tragedy, it really all hinges on one person, one central figure. It's all about a man who so desperately vowed that he would be different, that he of all people would be the one to escape the family business. And to really get the story, you've got to understand these two archetypes. First, you've got Vito, right? The big patriarch, this wise old sage whose quietness, it's a mask for a brilliant, incredibly manipulative mind. And then you have his son, Michael. He's the decorated war hero, the college kid. He was the outsider who wanted absolutely nothing to do with his father's dark empire. So, here's the million-dollar question, right? How does this idealistic kid, this American war hero, turn into a king who is somehow even more ruthless than his own father? Well, the film masterfully charts every single step of that chilling transformation.
I mean, the story is just a masterclass in this psychological concept. Think of it like this. We all have a shadow self, you know? That part of us with all the impulses and thoughts we keep buried deep down. What the movie does so brilliantly is show how extreme trauma and pressure can just awaken that shadow. It unleashes a person's darkest potential and, well, forges a tyrant.
And this slide, it just lays that journey out perfectly. You literally watch him shift from the idealistic hero to this icy, cold pragmatist. And here's the really profound, tragic irony of it all. Michael's vow to escape his family's destiny, that's the very thing that ends up sealing it. He becomes the ultimate embodiment of his father's shadow. Okay, let's shift gears a little and talk about how Coppola uses the film's visual language. I'm talking about the symbolism, all the little things he does to communicate this deep sense of inevitable doom.
Seriously, the film is just saturated with this stuff. And here's the thing, once you see it, you can never unsee it. A perfect example? The oranges. Yep, oranges. They pop up all over the movie, and almost every time, they're these potent warnings, these omens of death. No, really, think about it. This bright, vibrant symbol of life, of sunny Sicily, right? And it almost always shows up right before something awful happens. An assassination, the attempt on Vito's life. It's this surreal, stark contrast between life and death, and it's constantly reminding you of these characters' inescapable fates.
And it doesn't just stop with the oranges, not by a long shot. That gruesome horsehead scene, that's all about the family's brutality smashing its way into what we think of as the safe, private world. And then you have the doors. Pay attention to the doors next time you watch. They become these incredibly powerful symbols, opening for moments of joy and connection, and then closing. Closing to show us just how isolated Michael has become. And all of this, it all comes to a head in what is, no exaggeration, one of the most brilliant scenes in all of film history, the baptism montage. Coppola just masterfully cuts between the sacred, Michael in church renouncing Satan for his godchild, and the profane, his men carrying out these brutal, perfectly orchestrated murders. It's this chilling synthesis, right? Michael is being baptized, but not in holy water. He's being baptized in blood and power.
So where does this all lead? Well, it brings us to the absolutely tragic end of Michael's journey. He gets what he wanted, absolute power, but it costs him everything. Literally everything that ever mattered to him.
And you can see it in the very look of the film, how it mirrors these themes. The legendary cinematography by Gordon Willis. It uses these deep, heavy shadows that just swallow the characters whole. Especially Michael. It's like they're lost in this moral and physical darkness, a kind of underworld where you can't even tell where the man ends and the myth begins.
And then there's that final, iconic shot. Man, it just says it all. That door slams shut, sealing Kay out of Michael's world for good. He's won. He's gained the entire world, all the power anyone could ever want, but he is completely, utterly alone. He's an exiled king ruling over a cold, quiet empire that he built himself.
And that's why, in the end, The Godfather is so much more than just a gangster movie. It leaves us with this huge, profound, and pretty unsettling question, doesn't it? About ambition, about choice, and about all those invisible forces that seem to pull our strings and shape who we become. And it's a question that really sticks with you, long, long after the credits have finished rolling.